You're listening to Whoa! Potluck.
And hey, welcome to Books and Boba, a book club and podcast featuring books by Asian and Asian American authors. My name is Marvin Yue, and this is our April 2025 mid-month book news check-in, and it'll be just me hanging out with y'all this week. My co-host Rira Yu is currently on her honeymoon and having a great time. You can follow her adventures if you follow her on Instagram, and I can't wait to catch up with her. I'm sure we'll be talking all about her travels on our next Boba Chats, which is our monthly bonus podcast that you can listen to if you join us on Patreon. Books and Boba, of course, is supported in part by our listeners at patreon.com/booksandboba. So if you've been enjoying our show and what we do here and would like to become a bigger part of our book club, head on over. As a Patreon member, you gain access to our members-only Discord server where you can chat with us and fellow book club members in real time about various topics, including our monthly book club picks. And if you join at the premium Honey Boba level, you also gain access to our monthly bonus podcast, Boba Chats, where Rira and I, sometimes a guest, have a more casual chat about what's been going on in our lives. So yeah, head on over to Patreon and become an official member if you want to tune in to our discussion on Rira's Asia trip. But yeah, let's get into the episode. In case you're new to the podcast, this is our mid-month book news check-in where we go over the latest Asian American book and publishing news. Since Rira is out this month's list of publication news is compiled by me, and it's going to be probably a shorter episode. I am still currently taking care of my newborn twins, so time is at a premium. So I was able to sit down last night and compile some of this month's publishing news after putting my kids down to bed. But forgive me if my list isn't as comprehensive as the one Rira usually puts together. And if I do miss any important announcements that you're excited about, please let us know either on Goodreads or on our Discord server if you are a Patreon supporter, that we can get the word out on anything that I missed. And I'm not as plugged in on Book Tea as Rira is, so this month's episode will not have a new segment. But again, if there's anything important going on, please let the book club know, again, on Goodreads or Discord, where we can discuss further online. But yeah, without further ado, let's get into the latest Asian American publishing announcements for our April 2025 mid-month check-in. All right, our first book deal, Berkeley has acquired in a preempt The Midnight Taxi, the debut novel from Innocence Project attorney and Princeton lecturer Yosha Gunasekera, which is described as a locked cab mystery pitched for readers of The Verifiers and Vera Wong's Unsolicited Advice for Murderers, both previous Books and Boba book club picks, in which a Sri Lankan American taxi driver accused of killing her passenger must find the real culprit by following clues around New York City's 5 boroughs. It is an ode to service people, immigrants, and the hidden treasures of New York. Publication is set for spring 2026, and it is part of a 2-book deal. So yeah, this sounds really interesting. Longtime listeners of Books and Boba should know that we are big fans of the mystery genre, and I'm really curious about this concept of a locked cab mystery, which suggests that we will be following the main character in her cab as she drives around New York. And I especially like that the publishing announcement invokes both The Verifiers and Vera Wong's Unsolicited Advice for Murderers. Like I mentioned, both former book club picks, which means this story is essentially tailor-made for us at Books and Boba. And I really like the fact that it seems like the book really shines a light on service workers, especially immigrants, and their contributions to the American fabric, especially in this day and age. And I'm really curious, hopefully we can bring Yosha on either for a author chat or feature the book in a future book club pick. But her experience as an attorney for the Innocence Project, I'm sure she has a lot of experience to draw on about people who live in the margins of American society and are at essentially the whims of government's power and, more often than not, corruption. So yeah, congratulations to Yosha on her 2-book deal, and looking forward to learning more about The Midnight Taxi. All right, next up, Emily Bessler Books has acquired in an exclusive submission Jackie Lau's A Teaspoon of Magic, a lightly magical foodie romance about a man who learns secrets about whoever cooks the food he eats, and the one woman whose baking reveals nothing to him. No publication date has been set yet, but this is part of a 2-book deal. Jackie Lau is a prolific writer of romance, especially romance featuring Asian characters, probably best known for her novel Don't Fall in Love, which I remember covering on a book news episode years ago, as well as last year's Love Lies and Cherry Pie. She does have a upcoming novel, Time Loops and Meet Cutes, coming out early next month, which does sound really cute. But yeah, I'm happy to see that Jackie's pipeline remains full and that she's found success writing rom-coms surrounding food. The story definitely gives some like what women want vibes, and maybe I'm reading too much into it, but maybe an allegory about what happens when a man used to relying on his innate privilege suddenly finds himself without that privilege and has to romance what I assume is the love of his life, since this is a romance, using his basic skills. So yeah, sounds like a fun and delicious time. So congrats to Jackie on her book deal, and looking forward to what else she has in the pipe. All right, for our next book deal, William Morrow has acquired Jennifer Ye's Migratory Creatures, a novel following a recent divorcee over the course of a single day as she grapples with aging, grief, and the unexpected appearance of a strange amphibious green man in her kitchen. Pitched for readers of Sharkheart and Sandwich. So personally, I'm not familiar with Sharkheart or Sandwich, but a cursory Google search has informed me that the vibes that they give is both magical realism from Sharkheart and family drama from Sandwich. And I'm definitely getting those vibes from this description as well. I don't really have personal experience with divorce, but I can kind of relate to the feeling of ending something that you gave a lot of your life to, and kind of the reconciliation or the reckoning that comes with that, especially in terms of time lost, but also the time gained from entering this new phase of your life, right? And I always love the addition of magical realism to stories. I think it, adding that allegorical element really does enhance some of the more mundane storytelling of contemporary fiction. Really curious about this green amphibious man. Is this like a Princess and the Frog situation? Or, Jennifer Ye is a biologist with a PhD in evolutionary biology. So maybe there is something a little bit more to this green frog man that appears in this woman's kitchen. But yeah, congratulations to Jennifer on her book deal. There is no publication date set yet, but definitely looking forward to learning more about this book as more details emerge. All right, our next book deal, Flatiron Books has acquired Yume Kitasei's Envoy, following 5 estranged astronauts who may or may not have made first contact with an alien species a decade ago and must now reunite to save themselves and each other as they become targets of a mysterious assassination plot. And according to Yume's Instagram, publication is set for 2026. So definitely giving some, I've been watching a lot of Yellow Jackets recently, and I really love this conceit of like something happened years ago and now there's a reckoning, right? And this doesn't seem, this kind of seems kind of as harrowing as Yellow Jackets is. But I love the conceit of like something happened on this mission years ago, and we all agreed to never speak of it again. But now it's coming back and it's after us. And also really cool to see Yume on this list again. I think the last time we had her on our book deals was the last time I did a solo episode. So always cool to see authors come back and publish more books. I think this is her 4th book. So yeah, congrats to Yume on her new book deal. And yeah, hopefully we can see her name again on Books of Boba in the future. All right, next up, Washington Square Press has acquired in a 6-figure deal U.S. rights to Dragonfly by Catherine Cho, a novel set in Hong Kong about a young Korean woman whose father is a leader in the infamous triads, who is cast back into her past and into the orbit of her childhood love, who himself is now a leader in the criminal underworld, when her son is taken by rivals to her family. Publication is set for summer 2026. So Catherine Cho is a literary agent, founder of Paper Literacy, as well as the author of a memoir, Inferno. And this is her debut fiction novel that was inspired by the time that she herself spent living in Hong Kong. And this just sounds really awesome. I was already bought in when the premise surrounds, the Hong Kong underworld, but also intrigued by the pseudo second chance romance that seems to be in there. Maybe some like past lives vibes with the former childhood love. I'm sure with that comes a lot of tested loyalties, which is ripe for drama in a crime thriller. So really excited to learn more about this book. Congrats to Catherine on the six-figure deal. It's just really cool to see that kind of money being spent on books by Asian authors for books with Asian characters. It really, at the very least, is comforting to see that publishers are still willing to put in that kind of cash to acquire diverse stories. Maybe there is still hope in the world. But yeah, congratulations to Catherine on the book deal. I'm really looking forward to learning more about the book as it comes out next year. Okay, next up, Pamela Dorman Books acquired at auction Nina Michiko Tamp's Tastes Like Seeing God, pitched as The Bear Meets Memorial, about a young woman who, grieving the death of her older chef brother, embarks on a whirlwind pilgrimage around the world in pursuit of the 5 dishes he claims taste like seeing God. No publication date has been set yet, but according to what appears to be Nina's fiance, the book should be coming out in 2026 or 2027. And yeah, I feel like this is an interesting take on the traveling to find yourself genre of books. I feel like traveling to understand someone who you regret not being able to do so while they're still around. I think that makes for a more compelling trip to read about, which I can see where the author takes inspiration from The Bear, because that story is all about channeling grief and regret into kind of toxic productivity. We'll see how that translates in this, globe-trotting adventure. But as someone who has traveled the world looking for tasty things to eat, I'm looking forward to where this book will take me. So yeah, congrats to Nina on her book deal and on her debut as well. Next up, Doubleday has acquired in a preempt North American rights to Spacebar by Eugene Lim, a speculative novel with converging storylines between a space detective who wanders around a virtual world trying to find a missing girl, an inspector who's been infected with a memory-erasing space plague trying to solve one last mystery before his decease finishes him, and a science fiction writer who wonders what to do with his floundering career as a novelist. No publication date has been announced. This sounds super fun. I love the play on words with the title Space Bar. It invokes both a futuristic space bar, but also the space bar on a keyboard. And, based on the novel, it's definitely giving metafiction vibes, especially with the inclusion of a science fiction writer as one of the POV characters. And I also love that you have 2 flavors of future detectives. We do love a good detective mystery at Books and Boba, and I'm definitely interested in seeing Eugene's science fiction spin on it, especially if it involves some amount of metafiction too, because I feel like the detective mystery genre is at its best when it gets deconstructed. So yeah, congrats to Eugene on the book deal. I'm looking forward to learning more about the Space Bar. And for our last book deal for the month, Union Square & Co. has acquired world English rights to Followers by entertainment journalist and reporter Audrey Cleo Yap. Examining consumerism and delusion in our Gilded Age, the novel follows an ultra-selective cadre of influencers on a luxurious SpawnCon getaway who wrestle with mysterious text, unsettling accidents, and their own dwindling numbers. And according to Audrey's Instagram, publication is set for 2026. This sounds really cool. I do remember Audrey Cleo as one of our, Asian American entertainment writers back when she worked for Variety and other outlets. And it is cool to see her name again pop up as a debut novelist. This book sounds like a lot of fun. It's giving, Glass Onion vibes, the sequel to Rian Johnson's Knives Out, about a group of privileged people who go on vacation and find themselves in the middle of a murder mystery. I'm getting some Eat the Rich vibes from this book, but it might just be satire. Audrey has posted on Instagram that the story is inspired by her Southeast Asian roots. So really curious to see how that gets folded into the story as well. As someone who has covered not just the entertainment industry, but also Asian American entertainment, which a lot of the Asian American entertainment community has roots in social media and influencer culture. So personally, I'm really curious to see how much of that gets brought into the book as well, especially because influencers and capitalism has become so entwined in how the modern social media apparatus works. Really curious to see Audrey's take on that. So congratulations on the book deal, and looking forward to learning more about followers in the coming year. And with that, that'll do it for this month's Asian American Publishing updates. A little bit shorter this week, also just because it's just me talking to you all. But hopefully you found out about some new books to be excited about in the coming years. Congrats to all of the authors who got their book deals. And again, if I missed any books that you're excited about, please let us know on Goodreads or on Discord. We'd love to share in that excitement with you. Like I mentioned at the top of the show, we are skipping our book news segment this month, mainly because I am not up on my book tea as of yet. But I think the most important thing happening in the world right now is the book ban case that's moving through the Supreme Court that will begin arguments in May. So hopefully by next month, we'll have some more updates on that front as well. But in the meantime, just a quick reminder that our April 2025 book club pick is The Cartographers by Penn Shepard, a thriller with magical realism elements about a young woman investigating the death of her father and the magical map he left behind. We are having a great time discussing this book on Discord, so if you are a Patreon supporter, don't forget to read along with us. As always, we are reading along and discussing this book week to week on Discord, so if you are a Patreon supporter, don't forget to join in on the conversation there. And if you're not a Patreon supporter, you can always send us your thoughts about the book on our Goodreads forums as well. That'll do it for this episode of Books and Boba. A quick reminder that we are a proud member of the Potluck Podcast Collective, so check out our fellow Asian American hosted podcast by going to the website podcastpotluck.com. Thanks so much for listening. Let me know how I did on my second solo book news episode. And we'll see y'all next time. Bye, everybody. Thanks for listening to Books and Boba. This podcast was hosted by Marvin Yue and Ri Ryu and edited and produced by Marvin Yue. Follow the book club on Twitter and Instagram by going to @BooksandBoba and engage with us on Goodreads on our Goodreads group. You can also check out past episodes of the podcast by going to booksandboba.com and by subscribing to us on your favorite podcast app. Don't forget, you can support Books and Boba and Asian American authors by purchasing books at our bookshop.org account. Check out the link in our show notes and also at booksandboba.com. Books and Boba is a proud member of the Potluck Podcast Collective, a collective of Asian American hosted podcasts featuring unique voices and stories from the Asian diaspora. Learn more about the collective and check out our fellow Potluck shows by visiting the website podcastpotluck.com. Thanks for listening.
Co-host the podcast Asians in Baseball alongside Naomi Ko and Scott Okamoto. Asians in Baseball is exactly what it sounds like, a podcast about the Asian and Asian Native Hawaiian Pacific Islander Americans in Major League Baseball. Every week, we break down the highlights of what's going on with Asians in baseball and then take a deeper dive into the Asian and Asian Americans past and present who have shaped baseball as it is today. Whether you're Kim Eng's #1 fan or you've never even heard of Hideo Nomo, we've got something for everyone, especially for the Shohei Ohtani stans. Maybe too much for the Shohei Ohtani stans. Listen to Asians in Baseball wherever you get podcasts, part of the Potluck Podcast Collective.